This instrument, it's a bit of a moral dilemma for me. It's a 1945-ish Fender lap steel Champion. And as you might know with vintage instruments, the general thesis is to do as little as possible when you're repairing them. However, this instrument has a really stupid wiring system, and I really don't want to replicate stupidity that was done 80 years ago. I think Leo Fender, frankly, was a cheap bastard, and he cut corners. He did it in remarkably beautiful ways, but I do not want to replicate his cheapness. Reason why I'm looking at it is because the owner thought that the pickup jack was not working. And loose. And when I took this off and looked at it, I was confused because there is no indication that there's a jack ever been installed in there. And some of you probably know where I'm going with this. This was originally wired up, so the cable went through here and was hardwired directly to the pot, the 1 meg pot. So if you yanked the cord, you yanked the pot. That's just stupid. And I'm going to try and do everything I can to not redo that stupidity. Even though it's a vintage instrument, it's worth $1,500 to $2,000 US. So it's not a cheap instrument, but it's cheap compared to pre-war Martin or something. There's 2 things that I can't change on this instrument. That is the location of this pot, because that's just in a plate, and this hole. I can't plug it up and move it. But I can do something that is a little bit tricky, but I don't know if it's going to work yet. If it doesn't work, I'm going to be forced to rewire it the old way, the stupid way. Having said that, I am aware that it has lasted 80 years and the pot still seems to be going strong, but I really don't want to redo silliness. So I'm going to try and figure out a way to add a jack to this, but without moving this hole, and in a way that avoids the pot. I've replicated this entire area with a piece of 2x4, and I've drawn where the jack hole is, or the lead hole, and where this fits and where the pot sits in relation to that hole. So I Forstner bitted out the dummy body, which replicates this, and now I'm going to see if it works. There's the electro socket, which is like a smarter version of the Telecaster socket, which is another dumb thing, and the jack. And then this goes into here, and let's see how much room we've got left. Man, it's going to be close. So I'll have to arrange these lugs to benefit the location of the pot. So I'll probably have to, like, I won't be able to do that. I'll probably have to put it over to the side. I might be able to bend them upwards and this one back this way. The lug that the jack engages, that will be at the bottom for sure, because that's the longest and the tallest. There's one thing I do need to replicate, and that is where this plate is, just so I get an exact measurement. To get a really accurate measurement, I'm going to have to cut the original lead off. So I'm just going to arrange the lugs so they maximum benefit the placement of this plate and where I think the volume pot's going to be. So that's in place, all my markers are lined up, and I can feel that this is working because that is flat against here, and if I flip it over, that's flat against there, and you can even see inside that there's not that much interference and that hole is centered. So this is going to work. Because this cavity was so tight, and I went through the whole thing about figuring out if it could work and everything. The direction of the lugs for the hot or the white and the black, and the third lug on the jack, it's really important that the bigger lug is here, that the jack kind of connects into, and the 2 wires are at the top, because then the pot kind of sits, there's enough space for that to go in between, sort of. If I've tested it, if I get it other than that, this doesn't go down, so it's got to be perfect. But I factored all that in when I, drilled the hole and placed it, made sure it was going to be good, so it works. Before I drill, I have to remove this lead grommet. It is basically like a bushing on a guitar tuner. Because I know the size of the hole I'm going to be doing, I have ample room to dig in here with a chisel to get it out. And once I do that, I should point out there's no turning back, because I've completely damaged the finish. So once I strike it with a chisel, it's kind of all or nothing now. So the next thing I've got to do is going to be a bit painful, and that is to drill a 7/8 hole into the middle of this. Okay, so I have this clamped off really well. There's some cork in between there, and this contraption is clamped up under here. I've paid attention to this being horizontal, so this will go straight down and be a nice fit for the electro socket. The center line matches up with the center of the bit. I've measured about 700 times, and I think I've double checked it another 100 times, and now I'm ready to go. I've checked the clamps, checked everything. That was stressful. So I've got the base plate, which I should mention is stamped A545, so pretty early. The wiring is wrong. The pot solder is just horrible. I've got this wire from StewMax, the vintage cloth pushback wire. So I'm just going to use this solder sucker to get rid of these blobs. So when I took this pickup out, it looked good, but when I put a multimeter on it, I got some bad news. It's all over the place. Instead of what you would expect in the K range, it's in the M range. So that means that the pickup needs rewiring, which is a shame, but this is what it is. So I'm going to send it off to Tom Brantley. His lead time's about 4 weeks and cost about $80 to $100 to get this rewired or spun. Okay, so the pickup is back in. I sent it around February 15th. It's now April 12th, and I am keen to get this in. So there's another element which I have to attend to, and that is what material electro socket to use. Can you guess which is which? There's a nickel, a satin chrome, and a chrome. The satin chrome is probably the most obvious, because nickel is that and chrome is that. Obviously the satin chrome is out because that just doesn't match up. So that leaves these two. This might not pick up quite as well on camera, but there's a particular warmth to the nickel on the left that doesn't match up. So the winner is chrome. At the moment, the pickguard just got micro scratches and playing wear from 80 years, but the electro socket looks brand new. So how to fix that is replicate 80 years of people putting one of these in. So I'm just going to scratch it up using an old jack and screwdriver, pliers, whatever. Just make it a little bit less shiny, a little less new, but still in perfectly new condition. Yeah, that's getting a look. I've looked carefully at the scratch marks and just the micro scratches on this pickguard. I just did a little test sample on the inner side, and 320 seems to be a pretty good match for the look of the micro scratches. So I'm just going to scratch up the inside as well as using a jack and pliers just to give it a bit of wear. It's already looking much better. Just a few little scratches and scuffs. It's really easy to do it, and it just adds a tiny bit of authenticity to it. Not that I'm trying to trick anyone, or I mean, obviously this is an upgrade, so well, it might be an upgrade to some, it might be a downgrade to others. I'm just going to get the pilot holes started for the 2 screws that go in at 45-degree angle. And I think I'll orientate the screw holes parallel with the top and back. And I'm just going to screw one of these in first and then drill the second one. I don't want to drill one and then realize that the second hole is a little bit off. So I've just done a quick wire up just to make sure everything's working. I did multimeter the pot and that looked fine, but I'd like to just do this and plug it in and make sure it works, which it does. I'm going to have to, unfortunately, change the pot out because only the last fifth of it works. And then there's nothing. And I'm turning that like a tiny bit, and then I've still got all that to go. So it's just, unfortunately, not going to work. It does work at full volume, but you need more than that. So out with the old and in with the new. Carl Electro B1-691 1 meg 197735. So that was really fun. Thank you for watching, and I hope you got something out of it, whether it be horror that I put in a electro socket, or you liked what I did and agreed with it. Can't please everyone. I enjoyed working on this. It's always a pleasure to work on something so old and with such history. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See you later. Bye.